Oh my God, you guys. I've waited my whole life for this. Chocolate and caramel is the most perfect combination ever invented. Oh my God, this cake is absolutely perfection. About a month ago, I was asked by one of my patrons to make a salted caramel cake. But since I could never do anything simple, I turned it into a Snickers cake instead. The concept for salted caramel cake is the same. It's chocolate cake, gobs of caramel dripping from each layer, caramel buttercream, but Snickers is peanuts, right? So I decided, let me come back around to this salted caramel cake today. And while it is really simple, I mean, I've already got my chocolate cake layers baked. I have my buttercream already mixed up in my mixer. Now, the highlight of this video today is actually going to be the caramel. I have a secret trick for you guys on how to get the most beautiful, thick, gooey caramel like the one that you see right here. So, as we know, caramel is merely sugar and water that is cooked to 320 degrees Fahrenheit, at which point you will see the color turn from clear to a light amber. Now, I've added some vinegar to my sugar and water, and that's basically going to interfere with any crystallization. Crystallization is like the enemy of cooking sugar, and another way to avoid that not only is using an acid like a lemon juice or a vinegar, but you are going to want to stop stirring once your sugar water mixture comes up to a boil, because if you continue to stir that once it starts boiling, you are going to basically have rock candy. So I think that's one of the most important things to know about making caramel. And you'll see that sometimes the sugars get stuck onto the sides of my pot. And I'll put a lid on that, which essentially creates steam, and steam is going to dissolve those sugar crystals that have sort of stuck themselves to the sides of my pot, and brings it back to a really nice clear sugar syrup. Now we're going to cook this to 320 degrees. Actually, I cook it more to like 350, 340, 350, because I do like to get that nice deep amber color before adding in the plant milk. Now, I can never stress enough how dangerous it is to cook sugar to these temperatures, so never walk away from a cooking caramel. I don't really use a thermometer when I'm cooking caramel for a sauce like this, because, you know, it does range in temperature from, you know, 320, depending on the depth, the color that you want your caramel to be. Most of the time, I just do it by eye. Once it starts to turn a light amber, you know that you're close. And it will go very quickly, like I said, from a light amber to almost burnt if you're not careful. So monitor it very closely at this point. I like to let it go to about a medium amber, then I'll take it off the heat. Just let it settle down for like not even a minute, and then you're going to add in the plant milk. Now, making a vegan caramel is not too much different than a non-vegan caramel, except for the milk that's being used. Non-vegan caramel uses heavy cream, which is a super high fat cow milk that gives the richness and the body from all of that fat. Now, plant milks tend to be very low in fat, so the best milk to use for this is going to be canned coconut milk. It has the highest fat and will result in the thickest, the best tasting caramel. All right, so that's really as far as anyone will tell you about caramel making, and then they'll say just cool it in a heat-proof dish and then use it on all the things. But wait, there's more. The secret pro tip to perfect thick caramel like this is to whip it with a high-speed mixer with the balloon attachment. Now, I let this caramel cool for just about 10 minutes before pouring it in, and then I just let it whip for like about 8 minutes, and it will get so thick it's going to lighten up in color. And just look at this. It is so beautiful. It is so thick and gooey, and it's actually going to get even more thick after being refrigerated. So, I mean, I could eat this stuff just with a spoon, but I won't. Let's get back to this salted caramel cake now that you know how to make the most beautiful, thick, gooey vegan caramel sauce. So like I said, I have my buttercream recipe already here in my mixer, and we just simply have to add some of this caramel sauce to the buttercream. Now, as always, the recipes are on my website at gretchensveganbakery.com, and because buttercream is so high in sugar already and caramel is nothing but sugar, I've adjusted the amount of sugar that I put in my base recipe for buttercream, and I always make all the notes on my website so that you can have perfect results and you're not sort of like guessing what to do. Even though I'm just eyeing it here right now, I always do write the recipes in the proper quantities for you guys on the website. All right, so my cake layers are cold but not frozen, and I'm kind of wishing they were frozen at this point because it is hot here today. Let me tell you what. And my cake is slipping all around, so let me put a little bit of a thing on my board. I'm just gonna put a piece of tape there to keep it from slipping around. There. So I don't really know what else to say about this cake except that it is so easy. If you are new to vegan baking, this is one cake I would probably recommend starting with. It's a simple one bowl mix for the chocolate cake. The buttercream is equally easy. And I just showed you how to make the best caramel in town. So what am I doing here? Every time I get to talking, I lose my mind. I can't do all of the things at once anymore. So what I want to do is actually make sort of like a ditch, because that's where I'm going to be pouring that caramel. So that when we slice this cake, each layer has like drips and drips of caramel. Ooh, this is gonna be so good. I'm so glad I came back to revisit this very pure, unadulterated salted caramel cake. But of course, if peanuts are your thing, you definitely have to check out my Snickers cake. All right, I probably should be doing this with a pastry bag, but I'm gonna make a big mess out of this cake today. That's okay. Salted caramel cake is meant to be ooey and gooey. I'm just really trying not to get any of it like on the outside of the buttercream, because then it's going to be like sticking through the layers and that's going to be annoying, kind of like what I did there. So try not to do that. These are pretty thick layers. I didn't really trim them down too much because I wanted them to be nice, thick chocolate cake layers. I am going to sort of reinforce the side though, because everything is like super soft. It is hot here today. So just by sort of doing this before I add the rest of the second filling layer in here is going to sort of keep everything a little bit more stable. And sometimes I might even pop this into the refrigerator at this point just to kind of firm it up before I do the next stacking. I'm gonna go for it though. Let's see if the cake gods are with me today. Now, the only problem with putting that stupid tape on the bottom is that it's harder to get it off. Don't do what I do. Just use a wet rag. It's way better. Okay, 30 minutes refrigerator. We'll be right back. So while that cake is chilling, I just want to talk about my decoration, and this is completely optional. It is caramel corn that I'm going to be putting on the top of this cake for decoration. Completely optional. You guys don't have to make it, of course, but if you don't make it for this cake, I do recommend that you do make your own homemade caramel corn at least once in your life. It's so delicious. So first of all, you just have to pop up some popcorn, which if you've never done that before, it's so easy. Quarter cup of kernel corn into a large saucepan that has a lid, and I put about a tablespoon of coconut oil in there, and you get that super hot. Put in your corn. It's gonna start popping, and it's really cool to make your own popcorn if you've never done it before. But once you do that, go ahead and set that aside, and then you're going to make the caramel that we're going to pour over that corn. Now, it's really not a true caramel. I would say this is more of a toffee, because the only difference between toffee and caramel is that toffee has butter cooked into the sugar and water mixture. It's not a water mixture, it's a sugar and butter mixture. So it's almost like a butterscotch that you're going to cook to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And you're going to boil that for about 4 to 5 minutes. Will probably get you to 300 degrees. And then you're going to add in the salt and the baking soda and the vanilla extract. And the baking soda is what causes it to bubble up, and it actually aerates the whole caramel, which allows it to sort of coat the corn, and it doesn't get hard like hard candy. It stays nice and chewy and sticky and delicious. So again, completely optional. You don't have to make this recipe for this cake, but oh my god, you guys, this is so good. I've eaten a bunch of handfuls already, so it definitely makes more than what you need, but this stuff stores in like an airtight container for a really long time for a good crunchy sweet snack whenever you need one. So let's get to just finishing this cake. You can see how easy it is. Again, it's 2 simple recipes of buttercream and chocolate cake. The caramel sauce is pretty easy to master once you do try it for the first time. The caramel corn is completely optional. But let me tell you something, you better have your toothbrush handy, because this is one sugary cake. I do love caramel everything. Caramel candies have always been my favorite. I just love caramel and chocolate so much. So this cake is right up my alley. Of course, if you aren't a chocolate fan, you could definitely use a vanilla cake recipe with salted caramel. I just think, in my opinion, chocolate goes way better with salted caramel. I recently did a pralines and cream cake, which is similar to a salted caramel cake, only in vanilla. So if you want to check out that cake, that was a really delicious and beautiful cake also. And one thing I did think I forgot to mention when I was showing you how to make the caramel is that you do want to add salt to it. Otherwise, it's not a true salted caramel cake. But as usual, all the recipes are listed out at GretchensVeganBakery.com with more clear written instruction, because sometimes on the videos, I have so much to think about as I'm filming these recipes that sometimes I may not be as clear as I want to be. So you could always bet that the written recipe and instruction on my website is going to be 100% accurate. So definitely head over there to grab the recipes. And I think I'm going to keep this cake pretty smooth-sided. And I'm going to finish up the decorations. So comment below and let me know if you've ever made a salted caramel cake, if you plan to make this recipe, and what you would do different. Do you like chocolate cake with caramel? Do you like vanilla cake with caramel? And have you tried my Snickers cake too? Well, before I go, I do want to give a great big thank you to my patrons on Patreon. They are the ones who are funding this effort to continue to be able to share my recipes for free with everyone. The cost of ingredients, as you know, the cost of everything is astronomical. And for as little as a cup of coffee a month, you could join my PayPal pals or Patreon friends and sort of lend a hand to the ongoing effort to be able to continue doing all of this for free. So click the links below if you want to check out how to do that. And let's get to finishing this salted caramel cake. So here we go. I usually don't slice the cakes on video anymore because it's the hardest thing to do, honestly, is to get a decent slice for picture taking and something that's just not all mangled up. So let's just flip this one on its side because this decadent, tall bad boy is not gonna wanna stand up. But just look at this slice. This is pure decadence right here. Ooh. Chocolate and caramel. The most perfect combination ever invented. Wow, this is total perfection. So popcorn or no popcorn, I do like the little added look of the caramel corn, but of course it's completely optional. I just really hope you guys are going to make this recipe. So easy. This chocolate cake is amazing and so easy. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. And of course, again, my patrons on Patreon and my pals in PayPal, thank you for your continued support to keep funding this effort to buy more ingredients, keep testing and testing so that I can share the most amazing no-fail recipes for free with everyone. You can guarantee that if you make my recipes, you're not gonna have to waste your time and money trying to figure out how to do it. I've done all of that for you. So head over to Gretchen'sVeganBakery.com to grab all the recipes, and until next time, happy vegan baking, guys. Bye for now.